This is the Money Mike Syndicated Radio Podcast. Boy, I got a good one for you today. Is Caitlin Clark still the best player in the WNBA? I don't know on that one. I got to dig a little deeper. And you know what? Is Paige Bueckers still going to be the number one pick when the WNBA draft gets here? We're going to ask these questions and more today on the Money Mike Syndicated Radio Podcast. Let's get into it. The question I have is Paige Bueckers and Caitlin Clark, are they going to be the best players in the WNBA? And, I'll put it straight out there to you. I'm never one to sugarcoat it. I'm going to tell you no. I'm going to tell you no right now that Caitlin Clark, for her to duplicate her year last year, is going to be extremely difficult. That's a big time match. But Caitlin's a big time player, so there's no problem about it. And Caitlin's out making all the commercials. She's doing all the marketing and knocking it dead, right? No doubt about it. And then you got Paige Bueckers, man. You know what? The Dallas Wings are Dallas Wings. Make up your mind, move forward. This is not a party of how many press conferences we can have and how much we can talk about which coach we need. Pick a coach and figure it out. When I look at all this and I went, man, oh man, it's how many changes are going down. And I told you guys about a good one. And LA Sparks went ahead and pulled the trigger on Lynn Roberts. Lynn Roberts is a excellent basketball coach. Lynn Roberts will take the LA Sparks to Rickea Jackson to another level. I've got a good relationship with Lynn Roberts. Again, I had Gina Johnson, one of my players, and another player I started in the fourth grade. Erica Bean ran point guard for Lynn Roberts, and Lynn Roberts moved from UOP. First of all, came out of Chico State. Let's salute that. That's a major league accomplishment there, but went over to UOP and took it to another level. And like I said, Gina Johnson got in a car accident. You guys never seen Gina Johnson, but I would have loved to seen Gina Johnson play against Caitlin Clark because I guarantee you she had 3-4 blocks against Caitlin. Just that great a defender. But you're talking about Lynn Robertson. Here's where I'm going right now because even Paige Bueckers, the Sparks don't really even need Paige Bueckers. There's so much talent out there. So that's not going to really affect. But here's where I was bringing it home to you. And I mentioned this to you a while back, and everybody kind of laughed and said, Mike, you're going nuts. Here's the deal. And when I was telling everybody, Stephanie White is a good basketball coach in Indiana. Stephanie White is not one of the top basketball coaches in the United States. Let's clarify that, right? So now you got Caitlin coming in, and this was going to put a lot of pressure on Stephanie White. Why? Because the level of coaching, I told you guys, high profile coaching. Here comes one. Lynn Roberts leaves Utah, right? Been in the dance, been in the Final Four, been there, done that. Now it's coming to me. And I'm going to tell you something about Lynn that I can tell you right now. This ain't about inclusiveness. This ain't skip all that. This is about basketball. And when it comes to Lynn Roberts and the way she coaches the game, I'm going to tell you, she's got a lot of bite. She understands she's going to stretch the floor. She's going to stretch you out all the way as far as she can get you, and you better get all the way out to the baselines and get some range. And that middle's going to be open. It's going to be a different game. There's no doubt about it. And it's going to come down, you look at it, the Atlanta Dream brought in another one of the top winningest coach in college basketball. This is where I go back to Stephanie White. She lost in college basketball, right? But you're going against coaches who won in college basketball. And when you win a lot of games, and folks, I'm going to put you on one more for the WNBA right now. I'm going to give you one more name that sitting out there in the base that the WNBA needs to consider. This is going to be Lorenzo Romar, right? He's over at Loyola Marymount, coached up in Washington, just sent many players to the NBA, and these were players that were not even selected. He's the best recruiter that I've ever seen. Take a 3-star player and put him in the NBA. Markel Fultz, you're looking at C.J. Wilcox. I mean, you could just go on and on and on. And what he did up in Washington, they made a change. And as you look at the Washington program after Romar, the change, they brought in Syracuse coach, went to the bottom of the barrel, right? Washington hasn't bounced back since. But Romar went over to Pepperdine, had some minimal success, and put another player in the NBA, right? So he's over at Loyola. The difference between Romar and how he coaches the game, it's a different spirit. It's a gentle spirit. He doesn't use profanity, but is one of the ones that I believe would fit the WNBA as a head coach. And the way he coaches the game and the style that he brought to Washington and the players flourish, I think this would be an excellent coach. Just like I tell you, Lynn Roberts would be excellent. The Sparks pulled the trigger, no doubt about that. So now you got another opportunity. Stephanie White's going to step up in the game. But let's get back to why I'm a little concerned here on Paige Bueckers, and I'm also going to be concerned on Caitlin Clark because you've got something that's getting built up, and I think Paige Bueckers is getting overbuilt. Okay, let's talk about it. Paige Bueckers is getting overbooked, if you would say, overbuilt because the Dallas Wings are so afraid to pull a trigger on the coach. And I'm listening to the owner, and I was trying to understand why are you telling us this, right? Because Greg's sitting there, well, I've been contacted by NBA, I've been contacted, but you can't make a decision. Okay, and this one's going to be really interesting because you sold out with the intention of you're getting Paige Bueckers. But here's the challenge I got with this. Paige Bueckers, by the time you get to the WNBA draft and you get through with the NCAA tournament, Paige Bueckers might be the sixth or seventh best player on the board. And that one there is going to get a little confusing because it's not going to be like Caitlin's situation, right? Caitlin came out at the height of the game and all spotlight was there. So here we had a player like Caitlin that could kind of do a little bit more than everybody else. And it was very clear about that. This is the Money Mike Syndicated Radio podcast. We're powered up by fanatics. We're looking at the game from a different way, and we want to let you know in advance it's my opinion. But if it turns to truth, I'm giving you the facts before it happened. And I've given you the facts many, many times of what's going to happen in this game, and I'm going to give you some more. I'm going to let you know that Caitlin Clark came at a time where Caitlin Clark was the individual player that was having that success. Great player, Caitlin, no doubt about it. But she was able to come out by herself individually with a spotlight and she backed it up, right? She was able to back it up. Now, let's go to Paige. Paige has got a little different scenario coming out into the WNBA draft if she even comes out. And if you look at it, you look at it collectively, you know what? That might not be a bad idea because the players she's going against, they're too good. They are too good. And let me kind of explain what I mean, right? You got LSU, okay? I mean, you're talking about a straight up ball player. You got Flo J, right? This is a straight up ball player, right? So you're gonna throw Paige Bueckers in this mix against this player, and it's going to be really, really hard. And that's only one of the players. Folks, by the time you get off of there and you go over to Kiki is a better player than Paige Bueckers. I'm going to tell you that right now. Okay, I'm going to tell you that right now that she's a better player than Paige Bueckers, right? There's no doubt about it. So it's almost a godsend that the LA Sparks didn't actually get the number one pick and be under pressure to take Paige Bueckers. Because here's what's happening. You got pressure now to take Paige Bueckers. And Money Mike's going to lay it out for you. I'm going to let you know that Paige Bueckers may not be the number one player in the draft uh, that's next year. It's a high possibility. Paige Bueckers might be the sixth or seventh player on the board, right? Because you're not going to be better than Kiki. There is no doubt about it, right? And you're not going to have this year like Caitlin had, where you're going to be bringing in a coach and Indiana's excited. But that's a coach for Indiana. That's not a coach that Stephanie White, you put the Florida Ghost coach, the Atlanta Dream coach, and you also put together Lynn Roberts. You put their college records against Stephanie White. It's going to dwarf it. It's going to make it look like an embarrassment, right? Like, why did you hire Stephanie White? And this is going to happen because Dallas is going to load back in there. Washington's going to load back in there. And Stephanie White went from this great coach is going to be like, man, suffering down at the bottom of the board because the high profile coaches she's going to go against, this is going to be above what her pedigree is, right? So she's going to have to be really, really, really good. I mean, really, really, really good. Now, let's get back to the players, and this is why I'm going here, right? because you're going to look at Flo J, right? But let's go a step further. And I'll tell you who Money Mike likes. You know what? I like Rivers over there at North Carolina State. Let me tell you something. This player is a ball player, right? I mean, this one here, North Carolina State, you got Miles over there. You got guys that are really, really, really talented in the game, right? This is the best guard. And by the time you get to the NCAA tournament, and by the time you look at the new talent coming in, and by the time you look at the players that nobody figured would excel to that level, I'm telling you, Paige Bueckers going to be down on that list because she's not going to be better than River. I can tell you this, she ain't going to be better than James. I mean, North Carolina got two guards that can get it in, and they are really, really good, folks. They are really, really good. It's not going to be something, this ain't taking, the average player like, and it's where the Fever kind of made a mistake. You took Grace. You can take one of these players at the seventh pick. You might be at the seventh, eighth, ninth pick, and you got a franchise player that deep, that low. And when you talk about Rivers, okay, this one's a standout strength defender getting it done. You over there, folks. I haven't even gotten over there to Don Staley. I mean, all of these players are coming in combustion, and I'm telling you, this one here, it's going to be hard for Paige Bueckers to duplicate what Caitlin Clark did because the players are too good. And if you get any one of these players that's going to fall in the Lynn Roberts system, right? Lynn Roberts, right? She's going to know what to do with a player like that. She's already got Rickea Jackson. Okay, Lynn thinks the game a different way. Okay, and the way she utilizes her players is a different way. She puts them in spots where there's roles. You got to do certain things. And folks, I've seen it with my own eyes. I seen it when her and Gino did a home and home with that relationship of playing UConn, being at UOP. And you want to know what? A lot of teams wouldn't even accept that game. Okay, UConn won the game, but UOP was very competitive. Okay, and they battled out. And here's the thing I'm gonna tell you, man. These players, the LA Sparks can pick up a player with the second pick of the draft. By far, Lynn Roberts has got a shot to look at the entire board to sit back and say, which player do I need for the entire board? Now, the difference with that, you get over to Greg. Greg can't do that. Greg's locked in the Bueckers. Whether he likes it or not, he's locked in the Bueckers, no doubt about it. That's not going to change. And I'm going to tell you, like I told you before, Paige Bueckers may not be the best player on the board next year. I can tell you because of competition and as more players are coming out, I'm watching and seeing what they're doing. And I'm telling you now, that's a great pick for Dallas, but they're going to be pigeonholed into taking it with thinking you're going to have the same success as Caitlin. That's not going to happen, folks. That's not going to happen. And I'll tell you this, the first round draft pick, you're going to hear it from me. The first round draft picks in the 2025 WNBA draft will have more impact on the WNBA than any other first round draft picks has ever had in the history of the WNBA. This year, Caitlin had a really, really big impact, right? It wasn't like the entire first round. This year, the entire 24 players that come into the WNBA as rookies will have more dominance. They will dominate the veterans who are in the game of the WNBA, and I guarantee it, and I stand by it 100%, because the talent level that is being brought in now to go along with Caitlin Clark. Here's what Caitlin did, right? Caitlin has changed everybody's mentality. College basketball, you're playing the game a different way. Well, these players have already been playing at that level. And I'm going to tell you, if you haven't seen, okay, this is where I'm going to tell you, if you haven't seen Rivers play at North Carolina State, you're missing a treat, right? If you haven't seen James play at North Carolina State, you are missing a treat. And this player here is definitely going to be dazzling and dominating it in the WNBA. Okay, you've seen Flo J. This player here is going to dominate the WNBA. Now, here's the thing with Kiki. They're going to dominate dominate the WNBA. No doubt about it. Their skill set, perimeter game, okay? And this is a great fit for somebody to stay at home, stay right in LA. You know what it's about. I love LA. And I'm going to tell you this, folks. This player here can stay right at home with the Sparks and have a tremendous career because what she does paired with Rickea Jackson. I'm going to tell you, don't slip, folks. I'm going to tell you, don't slip on Lynn Roberts because it's not about inclusiveness. It's not about, hey, this is a campaign. It's not about activism. It's about basketball. Okay. She's like, skip all that and she's going to ride right with it. I don't care if Lynn pulls up in her Range Rover. I don't care if she pulls up in her Benz. She's going to have her Rolex and she coming to win the championship. That's how Lynn does it. It's a different breed with her. She's going to have the bite the players need. She's going to give them the mentality the players need. And I've seen it with my own eyes and my own players. So I already know what her capabilities are. And I already know how she gets it done. And it's different. It is not the same game. And you're gonna really get a taste of what professional basketball. Now, for those of you out there who are sitting on the fence post and you haven't figured it out, you got Lorenzo Romar. Now, I'm out there on this one because, I haven't talked to Rome and said, hey, Rome, would you coach in the WNBA? But if you dig down deep enough and you have the conversation with Lorenzo Romar, I will guarantee you this. Before you leave the room, you will be very impressed. When you look at what he did at Washington and how he turned the program around, and Washington wanted more, but they weren't able to find more after he left the program. It's most of the time they say, okay, we're going to hire another coach. We're going to move on, right? But at the end of the day, time and time again, you talk about a coach where all the players who have played for Romar, all the players come back, talk to coach. He's there. He be the gentle spirit, but he does not use profanity. That's one thing I'll tell you. And one of the things he used to have a hardcore rule on is he never wanted any of the male players to have braids, right? Well, the women, that's a culture and a style. Okay, he can embrace that, but you're going to get a coach here that can actually coach in the WNBA and has been around pros and coached a lot of pros. He's played in the pros. He's played the point guard position. He's done it. It's just a fascinating hire for somebody to go down there and get Lorenzo Romar, and you got somebody that can stand up to the high profile pressure and take it a step further and be a definite plausible aspect. But when it gets right down to it, I'm going to tell you, you know what? I put a lot of things on the table. You guys know what it means. This is the Money Mike Syndicated Radio Podcast. We talk to you, Stephanie White, big-time coach in Indiana. Not a big-time coach in the United States. You know what? You got Lynn Roberts taking the Sparks. That one there is a dream come true. And I'm telling you now, get ready, because the way she does the game, like nobody else. I'll put it to you. You got LSU. There's just a few of them, folks. I give you the whole board. I get it top 20, top 12, top 15 players that are coming in. She going to be one of them. It's a wrap. You talking about this one? Oh, my, Rivers, NC State. I love your game. I love your strength, and I love your tenacity. You talk about smooth, cool hand Luke. Okay, cool hand Luke. That's James up there. That's a WNBA player that's going to eat the WNBA alive. You're talking Kiki. Don't stop there. Because Kiki got a game and her and Juju just getting started. Right, so what does Paige got a target on her back? It was enough for you to live up to Caitlin. But I'm going to tell you now, Paige Bueckers might be the 6th or 7th best player in the draft. Wait till we get done with the tournament. Caitlin's Caitlin. She'll stand up to any challenge, but she won't have all the shine. The shine's going to move to where it does. Dallas Mavericks made a move. Greg, make up your mind. Pick a coach. Get the organization back on solid ground. The game's a game, and this is the Money Mike Syndicated Radio Podcast. We're powered up by Fanatics WNBA. My. How about the Chicago Sky? Everybody's elevating. Let's see where it all ends up. We'll see you soon.